Yeah. We back.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday indeed. Happy Monday indeed.
Top of the top. Yes, sir. It's
Another glorious one.
A lot to talk about. It's a lot going on in the world. Man, first and foremost, shout out to everybody that we ran into over the course of the weekend. The Visit Rwanda team.
Shout out to them. Yeah,
appreciate it. Much appreciated.
Y'all should have gave out the trophy.
For sure. World Cup Club Championship. And Chelsea won. Congratulations to Chelsea. PSG fell short, but be back next time.
Congrats to them on a hell of a year, though. They had an incredible year. Probably got the player of the year. But it's interesting, man. Watching Chelsea play, I was looking at this dude because I'm like, why they keep putting this kid from Chelsea, Cole Palmer, in these Nike commercials? And I'm like, is he really built like that? And I promise you,
saw it firsthand.
2 goals in 8 minutes. I said, oh damn.
Oh wow.
I'll take it back. Shout out to Chelsea. Shout out to PSG.
For sure. Tap into Blackout this week.
Yeah.
Man, we got a dope episode. We got a special guest, my guy Daniel King. He lives in Dubai now. And,
make that move, I know.
We're gonna get to the bottom of this Dubai situation to see what's really going on out there. But
a real sixer. Shout out to the six.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. Good.
Come on.
He'll be at InvestFest also.
3 nights, y'all. Sold out. Don't act like it didn't happen. He might have said some things we don't agree with.
You seen Burner Boy? He's like, is wireless this small?
Chill. See, why we gotta start? We can't just be three
amazing nights
sold out, different set every night. Yes. A lot of people came out.
Salute to Drake.
Different tattoo was needed though.
That's
crazy. Can y'all say that for Wednesday, please? Like, let's just.
We also gonna be talking about the Epstein situation.
Whoa.
Are we?
We're not. We're not.
Production meeting.
Yes, we are. Tune in Wednesday.
Production meeting.
I need the extra AI lens.
They're surveilling your emotions through your
Tucker
blood.
Carlson in my seat.
Oh yeah, we got a lot. And then Thursday, 9:00 Eastern Standard Time, Alicia Little. She's known as the Queen of AI. We met her at Carnegie Hall. She did a presentation at Carnegie Hall right before we came on with Robert Smith. And man, she's one of those ones when it comes to artificial intelligence. So this is a very important how-to series. 9:00 on Earn Your Leisure YouTube channel. We're going to be going. This is a how-to specifically for entrepreneurs and people in the content creation space. We're going to be talking about how to actually optimize your business, how to create Instagram videos for people that's scared to, make content, how to make cartoons, how to make flyers, websites within minutes,
landing pages, product placement, product advertisement, how you should be using it, how you should be prompting it. It feels like AI obviously has been the conversation, and I know we had an amazing episode with XAI. Y'all better tune into this.
So if you're an entrepreneur, anybody really, but specifically if you're in business, entrepreneur, content creator, looking to grow your business, looking to scale online, but like I said, anybody really, this is something that you cannot afford to miss. This is free education. We give you websites. We're going to give you websites. We're going to give you apps, walk you through. It's a visual presentation. So she's actually going to be doing it in real time.
What?
I highly suggest that you tune in 9:00 Eastern Standard Time on your Leisure's YouTube channel.
Tell a friend, tell your cousin, this is like sit down at the table and we all got to watch this together. It's one of those.
All right.
And you can use it to make your pitch for InvestFest, your little 30-second clip. I know
100%, bro.
We talk about that too. So 100%. We got some updates for InvestFest too. I'll talk about that later on in the show. But Ian, any announcements?
All of a sudden, every analyst on earth wants Tim Cook to be fired.
You don't say.
I need y'all to stop. Listen, I love all y'all respectfully. And shout out to everyone on every network that's been moving around. We have to stop. I was the only person that was stupid enough to say Tim should be replaced. Now all of a sudden, it's Francois, please. Let me make my. I'm sick of this. Y'all can have the other little that y'all take. Not this one. Nope. Matter of fact, Tim Cook, another 10 years. I'm gonna start to March. I need a Tim Cook flag at InvestFest, please. Please stop copying me. I love y'all dearly. Mid-roll. If I made you money, please put yes.
That being said, our content is intended to be used. It must be used for informational purposes only. It's very important to do your own analysis before making any investment based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with, or independently research and verify any information that you find on the show and wish to rely upon, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. Please, people, share the research, share the love. Let's build community. Let's build our brokerage accounts. Let's build wealth. And anything that you find, please give credit to the person who said it or where you heard it from, especially Ian. Thank you.
Especially if you go on our national news network and watch our show the night before.
So it's a lot. It's a lot to talk about. Of course, we're going to talk about Bitcoin, 120,000, crypto week,
smoking.
Everything is up right now. Ethereum, XRP. We're going to talk about that for sure. Crypto week is upon us. So a lot to talk about. But before we get into that, let's talk about Intel. So the Intel CEO admits that they have fallen out of the top 10 in semiconductors. And is it too late to catch up? What are the only three to focus on? It's a few different questions here, but yeah.
I know everyone thinks I'm going to belabor this point. I told you so. I'm not this week. I'm in a more jovial. I'm thankful that I can hear. Thank you guys for dealing with me while I was in low energy, right? But I think there's two sides of this coin. One, we're witnessing the death of an American iconic brand. Like, I'm not going to put them in I'm in Houston, so I'm not going to put them in the compact territory. But to see them lose their lead is eerily similar to when Research in Motion BlackBerry began to lose their lead to Apple. From this moment forward, there is no coming back. I think we talked ad nauseum about the AI companies or chip companies that matter more, but Nvidia, TSM, ASML, Micron surpassed Intel. So the big lesson I want everyone to ascertain from this is that you have to be mindful of the moves that the CEOs are making to keep the competitive brand. And I think the biggest mistake and it happens to a lot of entrepreneurs, once you have a lead, you get so comfortable in having it, you think no one's coming to replace you. And this is the thing that I respect about all of us, but like Rashad getting that work mode, like around this time of year, and he up cutting the clips himself and posting 8 times a day, you can't give the lead up. You can't. Like, I can't scream this enough that one of the things that I admire about Jensen and then about Steve Jobs, no matter how much of a lead they had, they kept pushing to make the product greater, the brand greater, the partnerships greater. And Intel just lost some of that competitive drive. And I wanted to hear from you guys, for all the entrepreneurs, especially getting it from InvestFest. How do you not lose your focus and your drive when you finally get a lead?
Well, you always have to feel like a failure.
Oh, it's good.
You have to feel like a failure. Because once you start to feel like you made it, then you take your foot off the gas. When you feel like you've underachieved, or when you feel like you got to look at it from a pessimistic standpoint. For me, I'm always going to take that because I feel like it's needed. Because like you gotta always be critical of yourself. You gotta be critical of the situation. You gotta say, okay, I did this, but how come I didn't do this? Or somebody else is doing that and I'm not doing that. Like,
when's the last time you felt like that? And I'll be vulnerable and share one too.
For in general or one particular?
Yeah, just in general.
Every day. Every day. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm always looking at it like, I mean, in my brain, we should already have a $100 billion operation. Like, it's disappointing.
Yep. That little windsurf news came out and other. What am I doing with my life? What? 2.7 on a wake up? I'm like, what? And shout to BlackRock and Invesco. Aladdin is great, but I'm like, man, the crystal ball shit, that's been the AI. Ooh, I said, what is that worth? I went and did the calculation. Boy, I cried. My ear popped real fast. Get back to it. Let me vibe code, figure some stuff out. I agree.
Yeah, I think it's consistently thinking about what's next for your business. Like, what's next? How do we become better? I don't even think it's about competition in a sense more than it is like, how can we do something better? Like you said, from a pessimistic view, but even from an optimistic view, like, yo, that was great, but what's next? Like, what can we do that hasn't been done? Right? How do we reinvent ourselves? How do we create more friends? How do we create more moments? How do we create more? Like, we got to just keep inventing and keep innovating. And I think when you look at Nvidia, that those are the characteristics that keeps it ahead. When we went and saw the next 10 years,
it's different,
and you realize that forget catch up. It's over. There is no catch up. It's now about, can you survive? Will these other companies survive? And their goal is not looking at it like, yo, that's competition. They're looking at it like, yo, we're going to be better than we were last year. We're going to be better than we're going to be 6 months from now.
6 months,
right?
yeah.
It wasn't like we keep thinking these things are in 12-month cycles when they're really in 6-month cycles.
Yep.
Internally, right? They're looking at it like, all right, well, this product, all right, 6 months, what's the next product? 6 months, what's the next product? That way you always stay ahead of the curve, right? When people are waiting year by year, you know that you already cut that time by 50%. So you're always ahead. So there really is no catch up. In terms of Intel, it's all semis are not created equal.
No.
Let's just start with that, right? Like, so
but for that era, they were Nvidia though.
They were, and then right. So they're not all equal. So at this point, right, in terms of Intel, there is no catch up. I think what excited people about the news of the transparency of saying that we're too far behind to catch up is now who's going to acquire them. I think that's what the pathway ahead is, right? Like, they still are, like you said, an American giant. They still are part of a lot of these infrastructure bills, even when the current administration is looking at it. They still are getting incentives. It's just not that they can't compete at this level because they don't have the technology to do it. So who is the person in the GPU market that's looking like, what we could potentially acquire them, and we could potentially partner with them to help our business? Is it AMD? We'll see, right? Is it I doubt it's Nvidia, but there will be somebody at this point to say, all right, you know what? They have technology. They have a strong legacy brand. How can we partner? How can we acquire? Because there won't be any catching up.
And I feel like, okay, let's talk about feeling like a failure. Vitally important. And I think you got to have competition. Your competition might not be in your space, but it got to be competition. So what I mean by that is, like, let's take somebody like Elon Musk. No matter what you feel about him, he's obviously a very successful entrepreneur, right?
Yep.
I don't know if he's obviously has a monopoly in everything that he's doing. I don't necessarily think that he's looking at Blue Origin as his competition in satellite
aerospace,
but he's pushing himself to do things that's never been done in humanity, like colonizing Mars. And, these are different things that when you start saying, okay, like, I want to be the most notarized person in the history of the world. Who's my competition? Well, who's the top 5 most notable people in the history of the world?
Yeah.
That's my competition. You know what I mean? So it's like, for me, I don't enjoy events because I don't look at it as a person that's a spectator. I look at it like, this is competition. So Absolutely. It's like, even yesterday we go to the event, I'm not enjoying the event like a regular fan.
Well, how can we scale to
exactly so I can't even fully enjoy it because I'm not looking at it from a perspective of, I could truly care less, to be completely honest with you about it, but I'm looking at it from a perspective of, like, how the hell they get 80,000 people in here? What would it take? Is that possible? Is that humanly possible? What is the cost? How much money are they actually making from sponsors? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what does it take to run this operation at this level as far as a stadium, 81,000 people, and you got 150 different people doing security checks at every aisle, and then you got New Jersey state troopers, and they shutting down the highway because Trump is there.
Yeah,
that's not competition in the space, because it's like what we're in as far as InvestFest, obviously, we're not doing sporting events. So somebody will look at that like, that's not really a competition because you're not even in the same lane. Well, I don't look at it like that. I look at it like the whole world is your competition. If you
Everyone
can't get
on Earth is your
inspired, you got to get inspired by something, even if it's not something that you're not directly related to. Because like you said, at one point, IBM was the biggest company in the world. And they was known for having the golden parachutes, and it was everybody's dream to work at IBM. You ask somebody at MIT right now if their dream is to work at IBM, that would probably be a failure. If they worked at IBM, that's like the last thing on their list. But at one point in time, that was the premier place to be. What happens is like you got to study history. Empires fall because of negligence. Most empires fall because of infighting and negligence.
That's a great point.
So it's like, you know, you can't get complacent, whether it's Rome, Greece, Egypt, like, and we're seeing it happen with America now. Once you start to get complacent, you got to have a healthy level of paranoia. China has that. China has that, right? You got to have it extremely, and that's just, everybody's different. But I feel like for me personally, there's a certain level of toxicity that you have to have within you if you want to be exceptional.
Tell me more.
Paranoia, that's toxic, right? Like feeling like you're a failure, that's toxic. Always wanting to be better than somebody else that's not even in your space, that can be considered toxic. Well, all of these people are toxic people. Everybody that's been great has been toxic. Whether it's Michael Jordan, whether it's Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs, God rest his soul, super toxic.
Everybody
not the best moral example.
Because if you put everybody, then that
the highest levels. Let's look at sports, right? You got Michael Jordan, who's considered the greatest of all time. Most people would say that he had a lot of toxic traits. Tiger Woods, who's considered the greatest golfer of all time. Most people would say he had a lot of toxic traits. Michael Jackson, who's considered the greatest entertainer of all time.
But then it becomes subjective, though, right? Right, and we had this conversation like candidly about.
Notice a trend here, Ian? Like
no, I'm not arguing the fact that there are successful people who have those traits. I'm saying that not when you say everyone, then somebody might literally think you mean every person, right? Because somebody might look at LeBron and say, like, we haven't seen the toxic trait in him, or we've never encountered him at it. Well, I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, right? We ain't exactly. We haven't seen.
Hey, Rich, zoom into them on that.
Nah. We're not gonna do that.
Shout out to Bron.
We're not gonna do that. But
I'm not even criticizing Kobe. We know Kobe was, rest in peace. We know he was crazy.
But again, not
Mamba mentality.
Has it been a pathway
for
Mike Tyson? I'm just saying, has it been a pathway for some people? Absolutely. Does it have to be the pathway for everybody? I don't agree with that.
Well,
I can only level. Does it take that?
I can only speak for what works for me personally.
Yeah, because
I can't give a roadmap for somebody else.
No, I'm not saying
but
here's what I'm saying by that, right? You said when you say everybody, right? Because I would say, like, I don't have those traits. Would people look at me as successful? They probably would, right? Now, that pathway is different for me. Like you said, you're speaking for yourself, but when you say everybody,
I just say at the highest level, Nick Saban. I mean, I can rattle off this list.
Yeah,
but when you look at when you look at the highest level possible, I don't think it's a coincidence that when you talk about all time, the best of all time, a lot of, if not all of these people have very similar characteristics.
Should it be that way?
I don't know.
God's advocate.
Yeah, I don't know. But even that's singular, right? So if you're talking about the greatest of all time, you're talking about a very short list of people, right? But outside of that list, there are millions of people who have reached success.
You know, second place is the first loser. But I'm just saying, as far as we're talking about Intel being dominant, like you could be a healthy middle person in life, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the conversation that we had is Intel ever going to be number one or top three?
It's over with.
This is war. Business is war.
Yeah, here's the thing.
You fight in that game. Yeah. We're not talking about just because they're a successful company now.
Yes, for sure.
Right.
They're a successful company.
Right.
If that's what they want to be, then fine. But if they want to overtake Nvidia, you're gonna have you're gonna have to do some. It's gonna have to be extreme.
No, that's not. So that's never gonna happen, right? Like that's not going to happen. In fact, he's actually about 5 years late on this. We've been saying this for 5 years now. Like, yo, you're not innovating on any level at the premier people or companies in your space. We could name about 5 semis right now, just in the GPU market, that are greater.
And Apple is a competitor as well.
If we want to take the entire semiconductor, we probably can name more than 10.
Is second place the first loser?
It depends in where you're at.
Like they're in 19th place, to be honest.
They're not even in that conversation of second, though.
But is in your life philosophy?
Is second place the first loser?
First loser.
In business, I can't say that. No. In sports,
In life,
different. No, I don't think so.
Ian, do you think second place is the first loser?
Depending on what day, I'm grateful to be able to hear, so I'm gonna be more grateful in my approach. But
there's nothing wrong with being a loser. That's not to me. Second place is the first loser.
All right. So in terms
That's
of
just
let's take it in terms of market cap companies, right? Nvidia is number one. Is Microsoft a loser?
The first loser.
Are they a loser?
Yeah, they're the first loser. They're the first loser.
You're not going to say this
about my baby. There's nothing wrong with being a loser. LeBron James lost more championships than he's won.
He's a loser.
And I'm just saying that sometimes he's a winner, sometimes he's a loser. He's played both positions.
All right, so,
okay. but he's going to be considered the second, third, first best player of all time, right?
Top two.
So okay, there's nothing wrong with being a loser. Me personally, I want to be a winner.
Right,
me personally, that's just me personally.
I want to take the context.
That's just
now,
me personally,
because I want to take the context of why you're saying loser.
I don't give second place trophy.
Yeah,
my tournament, when I had a tournament, the rest in peace to Boston Keith. He was like, "We're gonna give trophies to the second place." I said no, because they got to learn. You don't get rewarded for losing.
Yep.
I'm proud of you that you competed.
But are they lose? That's why I said sports is different when you talk about in business.
It's a great
because
analogy for life,
at the end of last week's episode, you said, remember, like, yo, if you hate, remember, you're always going to be a loser. Was that in a negative connotation or a positive one?
Loser's a loser. Loser's a loser. But I'd rather be the first loser than the last loser. If we're running a marathon, I'd rather be the second person than the 148th person. Me personally. But I'm still a loser. But I'd rather be the second place loser. I'd rather be the second. I'd rather be the first loser.
Is that loser different from the one you're referring to?
Absolutely. Because if you're
138, there's tiers to loser.
There's tiers to losing. There's levels to losing.
No, I'm saying loser. Yes, people. If you're not winning, if you didn't win, then you're losing. Well, I'm just saying
there's losing.
There's tiers to losers.
No. There's losing, and then there's a loser.
Hello.
A loser is chronicle. Now that's a life habit that you've made a decision. And
right.
you consider you're a loser in life. You can lose. Anybody can lose. You can lose a match. You can lose a place. That doesn't necessarily make you a loser. Habitual habits.
You can rebound. Intel has no
because if you just said that the second place is the first loser.
For that one particular thing, but you always come back next year. Microsoft might next year they could be first place.
They could be first place next week.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
exactly.
saying?
Yeah. So if this healthcare AI moves,
this is how we can end this conversation. Losing is temporary. Loser is forever. Don't be a loser. Don't be a loser. A loser. Don't be a loser.
Broadcom has never been number one in market cap.
Okay.
They probably won't be. Google has never done that either. Loser? That's habitual. That's 20 years plus.
And that's one category. You could say Google is the number one search engine. They've been a winner
in the history.
No, I'm just talking about in market cap. Yes, categories can change. Yeah. I'm saying in terms of market cap.
I think market cap can be subjective, but you have category leaders. The issue with Intel was America's company, and they went to damn near 12th place in the public service announcement. Old boy who wrote on my YouTube comment, please issue me a public service apology. When I screamed this for the last 4 years.
So somebody was hating on it?
No, it's like you don't know Intel.
Yeah.
Like,
in terms of Intel, bro, they're not going to be in the
crazy part
5.
is their CEO back in the day, Andrew S. Grove, wrote only the paranoid can survive. And Intel did not listen to what he wrote in that fucking book.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
The amount of capital, the amount of infrastructure they would need to compete, the United States government is not going to be able to help them at this point, right? They were the largest receiver of allocation for funds for infrastructure. They got the largest amount.
Yeah,
it's not going to bring them back.
Y'all should have gave that money to Tesla, despite his.
No, they don't need no more. They have plenty of other companies.
How do you get back to your 09 lows with government subsidies? What? How do you mismanage that?
Okay. Speaking of not being a loser, we're going to talk about options. We haven't spoke about options in a while.
Let's do it.
And this is a perfect time because stock market went up a lot. So if you were in option calls, you should see some gains, or you were in the wrong option call. But we haven't done this in a while, so we'll do a presentation.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, we're not even gonna waste any time. We're gonna get right into it. This Thursday, make sure y'all are there at UIL University. We are back. We are back. We are back. We're going into our next summer session of options master classes. Look, we're giving a lot away this Thursday, the 3 new targets. But before we go there, we got to tell the people what we've been doing, what we've been cooking up. So y'all in for a treat. Let's get this thing started, man. Let's go. All right, so tonight, here's what we're going to do, right? We're going to go over what it means to stay low and keep firing. We always talk about everybody, EYLU, you'll know what the rules of engagement are when we're doing options. We got to stay low. We got to keep firing. We're going to unpack that a little bit today. And then for the first time on Market Mondays, they told me, Troy, you need to talk your shit a little bit. So I said, okay, all right, people. I don't like to do this, but tonight I will. I'm going to show you some of the results because not only are the team inside of EYU, not only are they winning, but the people on Market Monday should be able to win too. So we're going to give away some game tonight. We're going to show you what we've been up to, how we've been cooking up, and how we've been staying low and firing with precision. All right. Then we're going to give away a treat. Tonight we're going to give you the next target, what we're looking at. EYLU, please, Ernest, please don't kill me. Don't destroy me. I'm going to just show them how we go into looking at positions that we like and how we shoot at those targets with precision. And then we're going to give the game plan. The most important thing is we have to keep the game plan to a T. We got to be strict with it and we have to stick to our script. But before we go there, right, let's talk about this, right? So when we say stay low, that means we're not going to be braggadocious. It means we're not going to be boisterous. We're going to be humble and we're going to avoid emotional investing, right? We don't get caught up in hype cycles or headline news. We stay in learning mode and we protect your downside, right? Safety first. I know we talk about safety first, but it's important, right? This is what it means to stay low. Just be humble, take your emotions out of it, put your seatbelt on, and trust what you've done. And the keep firing part is important, right? That means we consistently invest capital in smart, keyword, smart, research opportunities. And I know one thing about me, I'm going to dive deep into the research, man, because that's where the money is made, right? If you understand the position and you understand how the market works and you understand the company you invest in, you are going to succeed more times than not. Then we got to take action, right? The most important thing is the execution. But we take action based on fundamentals, and we're going to be precise about that, right? So we stay low, we keep firing, and we're going to hit our target. Now, this is crazy. The ironic thing is the last time we were here on Market Mondays, giving them the game inside of what happens in EYLU, it was last April, right? So April was a pivotal month because we had a nice pullback in the market. And sometimes when we get a pullback, we have to look at it and say, all right, let's go back to the basics, right? How did we get success in the first place? And so we did, right? To a T. We went back to the basics. I showed y'all the table strategy. We're going to put ETFs and indexes as our legs. And we're going to make sure that those legs are super strong. And we're going to do the same thing with our portfolio, right? If we build a strong legs on the table, then we can put assets on top of that. And so our base was built here in April 17th, I believe, our April 17th call, we built the base. Well, let's see what's happened to that base since. So we said we were going to use SMH, right? And we showed you that we're looking for depreciating calls. And it just so happens April 7th, we had a depreciating event. Obviously, the president put his tariffs into effect, and that caused the market to have a huge pullback, especially the NASDAQ and more specifically the semiconductor sector. So SMH, which is a semiconductor ETF, we saw a pullback. So that was the first sign that, all right, there's something here, right? And that was going to be our first leg. And then we talked about the game plan, right? We said we're going to look at depreciating assets. We like to see the ETF or index or stock. We like to see a pullback. And so we circled here at the high and we looked at how far it has depreciated. And so here it was at 61, and then we saw it drop down to 37. Now this is the actual options call. So I'm going to go back to you real quick. So we watched it here. This is the actual price movement of SMH. So you can see it hit over 275, and around early April, it dropped to under 200. So that's a good sign, right? That means there was a depreciation of 15 to 20%. Perfect. Next thing is depreciation of 30 to 40% inside the actual option call. And if you look here, perfect. It hit our mark. We like that, right? There again, showing you exactly where it hit. So it dropped about 40%. Perfect. This is going to be my first leg. All right. So we showed you how we did it. We showed you how we picked it. We did expiration dates and we picked strike prices. And we said, this is our call. Here it is right here, right? You didn't have to go anywhere. You didn't have to open a book. You didn't have to go on a website. You didn't have to go on social media. I told you, here's the call that we're doing. SMH, our expiration is January 15th, 2027. Mind you, we're in 2025. So we got 2 years on this. When we talk about long-term leaps, this is what we're talking about in the option space. We're giving ourselves 2 years for this option contract to hit that strike price of 195. But that was just one leg. Then we broke down how to get our next leg, and we talked about the consumer discretionary, XLY being the ETF that was holding that, and we struck at this one. So that was our second leg, and we did this all live with y'all. Then I said, look, man, this Netflix thing is really, really enticing, and I want an ETF that has Netflix as a leader, excuse me. And we found this one. We did a search on ETFDB, and we saw that FDN, First Trust Dow Jones Internet Index Fund, was the leader in terms of allocation when it came to Netflix. So this contract was interesting because the expiration dates didn't go out to 2026 to 2027. So we said, all right, for the meantime, let's get a short-term one for this ETF because Netflix was in it. And at the time, Netflix was trading around 850. And I guess you can kind of tell where we're going to go with this, right? We see what Netflix is doing today. And so you can kind of tell what happened to FDN. But this was happening live. We actually did this. And so we said, that's 3 ETFs. There goes our legs. Then we had to find out Netflix. We kept talking about it and all the opportunities inside of it. We saw, like I said, a nice pullback. And so we used another one of our resources. We went to Estimize, right? And we actually looked at how Netflix performed by quarter. And you can see here circled is the first quarter of 23, first quarter is 24. Interestingly enough, this week is marking the reporting of the second quarter. And so we can look at the ratio of how Netflix grows quarter to quarter. And we can see there's going to be appreciation. There has been, or nearly has been, an appreciation in every quarter in the second half of this year. All right. So this was the last thing. So we said, all right, well, we're going to get a call on Netflix. And shout out to everybody in EYLU. Shout out to my man, Champ. Champ, what's going on, my boy? We put this in EYLU. We said, all right, well, we got 4 different contracts we're going to put out. We did XLY, we did FDN, we did SMH, and we did Netflix, right? So we did 4 calls, put this live. Shout out to everybody. And this was, again, in April. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the results are in. The results are in. Shout out to everybody that was part of that class. Shout out to everybody that was watching Market Mondays that week. And obviously you should be watching every week, but here are the results, right? We did that in April and look how those calls have performed. We got FDN at over 200%, SMH nearly getting up to 200%, and Netflix is just on a roll, and we anticipate that to continue at 182%. XLY has done pretty well. We're not going to sneeze at 78%, but these are all positive gains, right? These are all positive gains based on information that was handed out. And we don't think that's going to slow down, right? We believe in the semiconductor space. Obviously, Netflix has some runway to go, and FDN is obviously allocated a lot of its capital to Netflix. And so these are the benefits of that. And so a lot of people will say, well, Troy, how much money did you make? I tell people all the time, the money is important, but it's not the only thing, right? So the more important to me is that what's more important is that you have gains, right? So like if somebody started with $10 and they had a percentage growth of 204%, that's great, right? If somebody started with $1,000 and that was your percentage growth, that's great. If that was $10,000, where you start is what matters, right? And so your percentage growth is what matters to me, not how much money I made. I know people get psyched in that, and you see that on the internet, and that's great for people that do that. Just not my method. I understand what comes with showing people cash. A lot of envy comes with that. A lot of people will celebrate it, but it's not their success. And my thing is, I want you to have success. And so posting percentages of what we did together is highly, highly suggested for anybody in EYLU. And that's what we do. That's how we stay low and keep firing. So some people are going to say, you know what, Troy, man, you had fortune on your side, right? April was a pullback and you took advantage of that. And you're right, I did, but that's not the only time we've done this before. We're not new to this. So let's talk about what we've been doing. All right. So, yeah, take a moment. Yeah, I still don't got it. I don't got it, y'all. I don't got it. I'm just a guy that is staying low and I'm firing. But here are some of the results. We're not going to run from them. And a lot of these calls were put inside of EYLU. So if you're in the chat, if you're in the community, you're seeing these calls. And you've been with me on most of these calls. And so that Nvidia December 19, 2025 call, that wasn't always 900%, but we've been patient with it. We stayed low, we fired, we executed at a nice price. We're going to do something interesting with that. I want y'all to circle that number because I'm going to show you something very interesting that we're going to do with that number. But yeah, this one potentially is going to hit 1,000%, which is always a milestone for me. I love when we can get to 1,000% gains because, you know, it's just something that's really cool. But this isn't just for me, right? These calls have been put inside of the university, like I said. And in fact, if you look on the left-hand side, you can see September 3rd, 2024. Hey, earners, here's my Broadcom case. And so people who entered in 2024 in September, these are not just my gains. These are your gains as well. And so you can see a 406% gain in our December 25 call. You can see a 307% gain in our January 26 call. And even that CrowdStrike call. That CrowdStrike call was actually part of our July cast in 2024. So we've been patient with these calls. We put them out pretty far, and they still have room to grow, right? Like we still have 6 months before we have to exercise that Broadcom call. We got almost 12 months before that CrowdStrike call is going to expire. Obviously, we've taken profit here. Anytime we get to 100%, we'd like to get our initial money back. And so these are running, but we can keep going. We don't got to stop. We really don't got to stop. We can keep doing this thing, right? And so check us out here. We got Visa, we got Broadcom again, we got Nvidia, and you should be noticing a pattern. But look, Visa, we've been talking about that since last June. In fact, that was in our June class. But look, we put it in October again, October 29th, 2024. Look at where Visa was at. We were up 3%. 3%. This isn't like we didn't know this was happening. This wasn't like, hey, we kept this a secret. We've been putting the calls up. People have been inside the community. They've been executing. And these are the results. And so we got another couple triple digits here. Now, the Meta one you're looking at here is not a call because that is the shares. And so I have about 500 of shares of Meta inside this brokerage. And so those shares are up 147%. Nothing to sneeze at. We're proud of that. And we're going to let that thing keep growing. But we can keep going. Let's do it. Let's keep going. We're not done yet. Yeah, we're going to keep going because we've been talking about this for a while, right? Look at these calls. Now, we're not sneezing at 44% from Lilly, right? We're not sneezing at Vistra. We've been in that call since January. TSM, obviously, y'all know I talk about that all the time. It's one of my favorites. I'm putting it in my top 5 every year. We're not sneezing at that. CLS, Celestica. Now, most people haven't heard about Celestica, but if you were in our mastermind, shout out to my brother Ian Dunlap, shout out to Shadi. During our mastermind, I did a whole hour and 45-minute presentation on the future of AI and energy and infrastructure. And CLS, Celestica was one of those calls. Vistra was part of that. And so that was in January. And those calls, again, out to 26, still have time to grow. And we're doing pretty well on them. And Microsoft, obviously, you know, anytime we can have a Microsoft call, we've been pretty fortunate to be witness to one of the greatest companies in the history of the world. Obviously, their partnership with OpenAI and everything they're doing in the AI space. Microsoft isn't going anywhere. And so anytime we can get calls that make sense, we're going to do them. Shall we keep going? Because we could. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. All right. So again, we're sharing all the information. In fact, ASML, if you looked on the last slide, was part of our calls. And ASML has a big week ahead. Like I said, they have their earnings report on Wednesday. So we'll see how that will go for them. But it's important to follow these companies because they play a major role in the AI economy. Obviously, the role they play in the machinery that's going to produce the chips that TSM are going to manufacture. Manufacturing is important because Nvidia does not make their chips. They sent to TSM to manufacture, and so are Broadcoms. And so it's a complete cycle that has to happen, and ASML plays an inaugural role in that. So we got to watch that. Now, this call is down 6%. That's okay. That's okay. We're going to be patient with that one. But if we don't see something after earnings here this week, we might have to make a decision on it because our time is running out. This is going to expire in September of 25. So we're going to be mindful of that. And then we got Micron. We've been talking about that for a while. We got a new AMD up there. Super Micro. Okay, you can circle it. Ernest, don't be mad at me. I'm letting them see it. Y'all should circle it. We got a $50 call here for January of 27. Again, mind you, we're in 2025. So you're starting to see that pattern of how far we're going out with these leaps, how patient we've been with them. And then we have Uber. Uber is a new position. And so that we actually did last week. We had an entire case on why we thought Uber, and we spoke about it on Market Mondays. But I want to peel back the layers on that so we can show you how we're coming to these conclusions and how much detail go into some of the decisions we're making. So that Uber call is out till 2027. That's nearly 3 years away, right? That's only January of 2028 at 92. And I think Uber's already at 96. So we're going to give it some time. But why are we doing it? Well, why Uber? Well, there's a couple of reasons, and this is how we break down from an analytical standpoint, right? There's technical analysis and then there's fundamental analysis. Right now, we're going to go into the fundamentals because we want to see from a business standpoint what separates them and why are they a great opportunity. So this is the call again. We're going to keep reiterating it. You can write that down. You can circle it. You can go into your brokerage account tomorrow and say, all right, I'm going to put this on my watch list. Well, here's why I liked it, and I think a lot of people in EYL, you liked it as well. All right, so Uber is finally profitable. We talked about this as a ride-sharing company when it initially IPO'd in 21, but it's turned into something so much more. And when it started, it wasn't profitable, but it recently has been, right? So they've increased demand for ride-sharing and delivery services. Obviously, Uber Eats is a huge revenue generator for them. And they've done cost-cutting measures, potentially, and they've shifted their growth at all costs to a sustainable profitability model, right? They want to make sure that they're making money all the time. Debt was something that they were accumulating over the first 3 years of business. Obviously, that didn't work for them. They had to make some adjustments, and they've done a nice job. Huge congrats to Dara and the entire team at Uber for making those adjustments, all right? So Uber's revenue has consistently grown, but the company also implemented cost-saving strategies, including job cuts and expanding advertising on its platform. So they've done a nice job on that, which wasn't always the case inside of the Uber's apps, but you've also seen them starting to advertise a little bit more on linear television and also on streaming services as well. So they're getting this thing right. They've adjusted, and the adjustment has paid off. Why else do we like Uber? Oh, 2 words. Autonomous vehicles. Yes, that is right. Autonomous driving will be a game changer. Like it or not, this is going to fundamentally transform the transportation economy, right? This is going to disrupt everything. Now, when we talk about Uber, we always think about, who makes money in business? And if you know business, you know it's the middleman, right? And so we always use Amazon as the example. Amazon doesn't make a product, but what they do is make sure that products can make it to you, right? So you have the person that creates the product, you have the person that needs the product, and you have the middle person that delivers, picks up, and ships to you, right? So that middleman is Amazon. In this case, Uber is just that, right? Uber doesn't own a car, right? Uber doesn't need the ride, right? They're not the person, and they're not the vehicle. They're not a automobile company. They are a service that provides ride sharing and services to people to get to and from places. And so when you think about that, they don't have to make a vehicle, right? Which is high cost, and the margins, and we can tell from some of the automotive industry companies that we know, right? They're not making as much of a profit as they like. In fact, some of them are in debt, and they're going to be in for a rude awakening here in the future when autonomous comes to scale. But they have a role in this ecosystem where they are not just doing ride sharing, they're actually creating a technological platform that more people are going to be able to use. All right, so here is the competitive moat. Why do we like Uber so much? Well, a couple of things. Uber already has a massive global network of riders and infrastructure. They built that out. So if you think of the number 2 in the space, it's probably Lyft, which is cool. But Lyft and Uber are completely different in terms of business structure. In fact, Uber is almost becoming synonymous with ride-sharing services, right? It's almost like when we think of adhesive bandages, we think Band-Aid. When we think of ride-sharing, we think of Uber. They already have, right, present day, over 200 million monthly active users. That's a lot. That's a lot. And that's only going to grow when you talk about international opportunity, when you're talking about business opportunity, and now when you talk about potential autonomous driving, right? Uber also has a vast amount of real traffic routes, logistic algorithms, driver-rider matching, and payment systems, demand data, and customer support. So they have all the infrastructure ready for this monumental shift that could potentially be happening in the automotive space. Now, why does that make sense? Well, partnerships are important, right? If they don't make vehicles, they need to align themselves with companies that do. And there is a company that does have autonomous vehicles, and the name is Waymo. That's right. We talked about this a few weeks ago. Uber has already partnered with Waymo. In fact, if you're in Austin, Texas, if you're in Atlanta, Georgia, and we actually saw this on the road in Atlanta, and I think Shadi posted it in one of his stories, there was an autonomous vehicle that was driving. But why does that make sense for Uber? Well, like I said, if you look at their revenue model and their expense sheet, right, the majority of their expenses goes out to one key category in their business model, and that is the driver. Well, if I remove the driver from the balance sheet temporarily, right, if I remove it hypothetically, my revenue is going to go up because I no longer have to pay for the driver. I no longer have to pay for his insurance, right? And so now you start seeing ways of increasing revenue by switching from a service that you had to a service that is going to potentially disrupt the way of the future for your space. And so Waymo's a key partnership. Like I said, Atlanta has already implemented it. Austin, Texas has it. New York is applying for application to see how Waymo moves in its jurisdiction, and Philadelphia is next up. And so when we take all these things into account, you can see why 2 to 3 years out, I'm looking at Uber as something that has potential growth on the upside. A lot of positives. Now we can talk about Tesla. Yeah, Tesla makes a vehicle, so that's going to be a cost expense. And Tesla, let's go back to that last slide. Tesla doesn't have this last key piece down here, right? They don't have the logistical algorithms. They don't have driver-ready matching. Now, there is a button inside of the new Tesla models that can shift that. But what Uber does have is trust, right? I used to talk about to my peers, and I'm saying, hey, can you imagine a time when you were younger where you would get in the car with a stranger and you would tell them to take you somewhere and that would be okay? Your parents would trust that. And Uber has just gradually done that for us, right? We're liable to put our young teens and sometimes our young school-age children in Ubers to get to and from places. So they've built up a trust. Tesla is going to it's going to take time for them to do that. The fastest way for them to do that is potentially partner with a company like Uber, such as what Waymo has done. And that could be a game changer as well. So Uber is something that we like. And again, we are in this 2027 call, and that's already past the strike price, right? So Uber is sitting at about $96. We've already passed the strike price. So that means technically we are in the money. All right. So what's the game plan? How are we coming up with these things? Well, here's your game plan. Stick to the script. Take a picture of this. Write this down. Put this on your whiteboard. Put this on your chalkboard. Put this in your car. Put this on Post-it notes somewhere, right? These are the things you ask yourself before you enter an options position, right? Number one, has stock price fallen? Please always look at that because that means that there's room for growth to the upside. So has the stock price fallen? Have the call and option price fallen? That's important too, right? When we're looking at the charts, and Thursday, we're going to go over that in detail so you can see what that looks like. We're always looking for depreciating assets, right? The bid and the ask are important, and we want to make sure that they are depreciating because we can catch it at a time. That's great for us because the positive upside for strong companies are highly likely. Now, are we going to use time as a strategy? 100%. If you looked at most of those calls, they're out to 26 or they're out to 27. In fact, by the end of this year, majority of the calls in the portfolio will be into 27, right? That's how we're going to reset this thing. The 2025 calls that y'all saw earlier, those were purchased probably in 2023, or if not late 2022. And that's how we're doing. We're rinse and repeating. All right. So what are the calculations? We want to make sure that the stock depreciation threshold is 20 to 30%. That's just for the stock. we want to make sure that option depreciation threshold is 30 to 40%. So again, depreciating assets from strong companies, catalyst events can start that. We like when those things happen. And then this is important. Make sure you keep reserves, because there's going to be opportunities that are going to present themselves throughout the year and definitely throughout the summer, right? The NASDAQ hit an all-time high today. It will pull back. The S&P hit its all-time high. It will pull back. These indexes will pull back. We got to make sure that we have reserves in order to maximize on those opportunities. All right, so what are we looking for? This is interesting, right? Because this is actually from my April class. The same thing is happening this week, right? We're looking for catalyst events. So what's a catalyst event? Our earnings report. We know TSM is going to report on Thursday. ASML is going to report on Wednesday. Netflix is going to report tomorrow. Those are catalyst events. We're going to see movement either to the positive side or negative side. Rarely do we see stocks stay still, right? Because they're going to talk about future guidance. We're going to allude to some of the things that Netflix is looking at or they're facing this quarter. We talked about live events being part of their strategy. We talked about how they're going to be moving into the sports field. I know they got the big fight in September. So you're starting to see Netflix move into a way where it's becoming clear that they are the dominant streaming service in the sector, and that's going to continue. All right. So the next thing is product announcements, and we're going to be on the lookout for those things. Let us show you changes, tariffs that's still affecting us, and we'll see what happens on August 1st. And then laws and mergers, lawsuits, mergers, and acquisitions. And obviously, we talked about Intel and all their troubles. We'll see. Last time we were speaking, it was TSM. It could be AMD, but these are things that can move sector. These are things that can move in equity. And so this Thursday, here's what we're going to do. This Thursday, pull up on us, 7 o'clock. Not only are we going to go into details, but I'm giving away our next 3 calls. Our next 3 positions are going to be revealed this Thursday. I'm excited about it. We've already seen what growth looks like in this space. The only thing that's missing is y'all. So make sure y'all pull up this Thursday at 7 p.m. We're going to make some money. We're going to change our lives. We're going to change our community. We're going to change our portfolios. Stay low. Keep firing. Let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. Love is love, y'all.
Okay. Options presentation completed.
Every now and then, you got to remind people just how this thing could really go with time on your side, with the right formula. And when we say stay low and keep firing, we really mean that. Like, we're going to stay low, we're going to execute at a high level, and we're going to execute with precision. So sometimes you just got to remind people. That's all.
Vitally important. And I would say if you took any of those options, because we have the options class for EY University. So if you take any of those options, like especially like around that April, you're probably up in your positions because everything went up.
Not even probably.
Timing is very important.
Yep.
Yeah.
Timing is very important. What option, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned from an option call in the last year?
Oh, man, it's always time. And it's one of those leading factors that we talk about that we can't replicate, right? And we have no say in that, right? So if we're in a position, I'm always looking at how far can we go out in terms of our duration, right? So where my strike is plus where my expiration date is always going to work in an expedited fashion, right? So I'm saying to myself, if I'm looking at the depreciation at 20% for the actual stock, if I'm looking at 40% for the actual option call, how far can I go out to watch that appreciation? So a couple of examples that we showed in April, look at the payoff now.
Home run, yo.
Trust me.
Just listen. We're
not done, though. We got a few more, especially in the summer months and how tech is moving right now. This is a big start of the second quarter earnings. We're going to start seeing some of the reports. This is a good time. This is a good time, y'all.
So if you're just new to this program, we have, when I say we, EYL University. So EYL University is our community offline. Troy does monthly options classes. It's options community of sorts. And we have an app called EY University app in the app stores for all people that's in EY University. And they discuss option trades and stuff all day. So he teaches this class once a month and he goes over all of his theories, what he's looking at. And then he actually even goes over like the different calls that he's looking at, price points and all that stuff. Like, it's literally probably the easiest option community that you can ever be involved in. Long-term leaps. So that's more safe than actually, it's not like day trading. So, all right. The point of options is that you can accelerate your portfolio with more leverage than your long-term. You have to maintain a majority of your portfolio in long-term buy and holds.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to allocate a percentage of it to option trading, then that could potentially give you more leverage. So what I mean by more leverage is like, okay, if a stock goes up from 50 to 100, then that's 100% gain, right? But in the options world, that can be 1,000% rate of return. So you have more leverage. Obviously, you're going to be able to make more money if things go right with shorter amounts of money. That's why you put smaller amounts in on your portfolio. That's a responsible thing to do, but you can still make the same amount potentially than if you would have had it in a long term, but you got to sometimes couple it with the long term, have it both.
Yeah.
So all that's being said, if you're interested in learning about options and you're interested about growing your portfolio even quicker than it currently is, options is a great way to do that. Troy's teaching his next options class this Thursday.
This Thursday. Yep.
At 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
At 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And this is the last time we're going to do this for this year. We're doing an EYL University sale, and we're doing it for 24 hours, one day. It's Market Mondays, code Market Mondays. You can go to EYLUniversity.com, enter code Market Mondays at checkout, 50% off. 50% off.
Production meeting.
50% off. 24 hours. You are added to EYL University. You get the home buyers blueprint. You get the monthly calls. You get I actually teach a class also about different business strategies. You get added to the communities. We have regional groups. We have crypto classes. We have everything. But for this conversation, for the sake of this conversation, you will be part of the options community. The next class is on Thursday. It's literally as easy as it could possibly be. I don't know how else more easy it can actually be made for you. Gives you the whole blueprint and actually the trades in real time also. It's up to you to if you want to take part in it or not. So yeah, EYL University, EYLUniversity.com, enter code Market Mondays at checkout, 24 hours, 50% off sale.
Yeah. Remember in 2023 when we all got on a call and old boy said the option call was too expensive, and then it went up 3,000%.
Yeah, we're not gonna forget that call. That was actually an Nvidia call, which at the time was at $174. This is pre-split. It went up to, I think we had a 205 call. We were doing a class, and he's like, "Yeah, that's an expensive call." And that call, like you said, went up 3,000%. But to what Shadi was saying, we turned an option call into a long-term hold, right? So it went up so much, the value increased that we actually exercised that contract, got 2,000 shares, and now those shares have grown, right? So at the time it was 207, which was split, which cuts it down to 20, or $20.70. That is now going up to $168, right? So that all that equity on the way is now a long-term hold. So we're gonna go over that. Plus, I'm going to give our next 3 plays. I'm gonna do that Thursday. So y'all know how this works. If you've been in EYL University, we're gonna break it down to a granular state where you're going to figure out why I'm looking at this position, what are the determining factors, what does the future look like for them in terms of innovation, who is in their space, and the pros and cons. And we strike with precision, man. And so y'all saw the results already. So if y'all want to join that, make sure y'all there Thursday at 7. We're going crazy.
Okay.
You couldn't enjoy the soccer match yesterday? Damn.
You're not a soccer fan, though. Part of it. Yeah, he's not a soccer fan. Yeah. But that is true. I got a DM about that. They were like, yo, y'all love soccer? I'm like, I like it. I watch it. But part of it was like, how did they get those LEDs in the rafters up there? Like, they put the stage in the upper deck with 60-foot LEDs. I wonder how many seats they had to take out to do that.
I was going to text y'all when I saw the boy floating around, but I don't security.
Yeah, it was
stage breakdown. You know, I
think there's ceiling requirements for that.
Low levitation devices, so it would be fire. Drop money over the crowd. What?
The new Make It Rain.
For real.
That's a fact. Okay. Okay. We're gonna talk about Bitcoin, but before we do that, let's talk about Nvidia.
Sure.
Let's do it.
Okay. $4 trillion valuation.
Man.
Amazing.
What is the long-term outlook as far as Nvidia is concerned?
Before we do that, can we give me a round of applause? I told you last year, right on Investor stage. Ooh, didn't I? One of the greatest companies in the history of publicly traded markets. I think for the next 5 or 6 years, they are the most important, and they are the catalyst for this AI trade. They were probably grandfather in agentic and quantum computing on some level, and we have to give them credit at a time when it was sexy to build social media apps and delivery apps, and there was a lot of copycat building in Silicon Valley. They focused on what really mattered and built the AI infrastructure for America to give us a lead at the time when Apple, probably not a fair comparison, but like Apple was David Robinson. They came in being Tim Duncan at the time that was needed most to deliver the chip when America needed it. It's not talked about how they saved our stock market. But long-term pricing, by end of the year, I have them going to 189 flat. Within 12 to 18 months, I have it at 290, 290. You got to give Jensen a lot of credit for just, once again, being paranoid, keeping his head down, looking to, opposed to a 12-month cycle, like you said, looking to improve on a 2 to 3 month cycle. And championship culture is important, right? When we went there was no fraternizing. That's the one thing I took away. I've been to a few corporations. Usually some of them have a nice little lounge area or foie gras and some cafeteria. Everyone there was working on a mission, on a purpose. And I think they built a great culture that I think the world gets to see at a larger scale. And also, too, in the era where Bitcoin is just tearing down gain returns, they're the only company where you can say, well, I can invest in this equity if I'm not invested in Bitcoin to get a similar return. The gap between Bitcoin and indexes is like, there's no comparison now. Light years ahead. So just an amazing company, and they are what I wish Apple would be.
Yeah, they have completely. We used to say Apple fights for us. Like me and my brother would have this. Apple fights for us, and it was because of how dominant Apple was, and we saw the potential growth for them. Nvidia has surpassed that, and I would say for definitely our Market Mondays audience, during the time we've done this show, it's the most important company. It's changed more people's financial situation than any other company that we have talked about.
Yep.
And here's the good news. They're not done.
They're not done. Nowhere near close.
Like this is setting up for a 4 to 5 year run before there's even anybody near it. So you're talking about another 4 years where that stock price is going to continue to appreciate, right? Will there be some setbacks? Yeah, and there'll be a lot of things that'll determine some of those setbacks, the functionality of some of the data centers and how AI is being used and implemented. But when we talk to people in AI, and I know we talk about OpenAI all the time, there are about 20 other applications and platforms that are relying on these GPUs.
For sure.
And that says a lot from the small scale. From the large scale, when you talk about enterprise, you name the company in the top 10 that doesn't use NVIDIA or is partnering with NVIDIA, whether it's Microsoft, whether it's Broadcom, Obviously, TSM is a partner. Meta has already talked about their allocation of how many GPUs they're trying to get last year. You're not going to be able to lead or even compete in the space without them, and that's not going to change. And so, this $4 trillion is the first mark. I wouldn't be surprised if they get into 5, 6 in the next 2 or 3 years. Like it's not, and that sounds crazy because it's $1 trillion.
Yeah.
Right. Like we just in our lifetime, we saw the first $1 trillion company. We're talking about a company that potentially could add an additional $1 trillion in the next 2 to 3 years. We've never seen anything like it.
5-year price 416.84. Hold for the long term. If I made you money, please put yes in chat. I need a lot of y'all to stop copying and saying that the Nvidia trade was yours too. Respectfully. With all grace to God, because I can hear. But I heard y'all say that, and I was like, when?
You said, wait, say that number again?
416.84.
I'm just trying to calculate where that would put them at. That would probably put them over 6 trillion.
I can divide 1 every 2. Intel, 2 of them would do. The Intel Pentium processor, though, when we were growing up, what? Oh, breaks my heart.
Means nothing.
Gateway compact Intel. What's the biggest? Never mind.
Do remember?
Yeah, remember CompUSA?
Do remember?
I do.
Goodbye.
Okay. Let's talk about Bitcoin. Before we start, some InvestFest announcements. First and foremost, if you've chronicled my journey when I went to China, you know, obviously that was something that was of great interest. So by popular demand, we have put together the China panel. We will talk about sourcing, getting all of this stuff for your home, and actually even more. Because, okay, I'm bringing the team. My interior designer.
Are you really? What?
The team.
Yep. My interior designer who went with me out there. Her name is Neffy. Shout out to her. She just opened a store in Philadelphia. She's coming. Blair, who's actually my connect on the ground out there. She lives in China. She will be traveling 20 hours from China to Atlanta to speak at InvestFest. Firsthand information. You know, she went out there originally for clothes, and then she got into the housing, sourcing house. So she's well versed in not just housing, but clothes, hair, nails, whatever you can think of. So we're gonna have the China play will be broken down in full detail at InvestFest, ladies and gentlemen. You've asked for it, you've received it. I could have easily put this in an ebook or
for sure
sorts, but you know what? Sometimes in life you just gotta over deliver. And this is extra programming. We're probably gonna put this during lunch break. So this is an extra added bonus. The schedule's already filled,
jam-packed.
Put it during lunch break. Whoever wants to come, you can come. And then also the last thing I'll say about InvestFest is that VIP, we ain't forget you guys. So we're doing something this year that we have never done before. After InvestFest, like a month or so after, we're going to be doing a live webinar Q&A with 5 speakers from InvestFest. That the whole thing is just answering questions. And we're going to do real estate, we're going to do investing, we're going to do crypto, and we're going to do AI.
Yep.
So after you signed up,
I'm in.
Ian Dunlap is in. So people, I told you, and we got some more. But yeah, that's going to be. There's literally, it's only like ask the question. Just here, we got an hour. Sound off. Ask your question.
Whatever you want to know.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to know.
You heard on stage? You got a question about that?
Yeah.
Time to ask.
The follow up after? Ooh.
Yeah.
After. Yeah. So
it's called the reunion.
Yep. Yep. So yeah. So
that's incredible.
Value add is extremely important. And to see what Essence is going through is disheartening.
Yeah.
But it's also a learning.
Talk about on Blackout. Or maybe
it's also a learning experience too. So you gotta make sure that you add as much value as possible. So man, this year is just a matter of just saying like, yo, whatever you paid, we want to give you at least quadruple.
Yeah, the value.
The value.
Yeah. There's some more treats too. We're not done. We got a few more things.
So get your tickets. Get your tickets. Investfest.com if you're in Red Panda. Tech check Telegram.
Yes.
Use the code. Yeah. August 22nd. It's going to be here before you know it.
Yeah, we right there.
6 weeks away.
We right there.
Final stretch.
What else can we do that's never been done?
Can I do my ATV or four-wheeler this year or no?
Top 10 list of things that we haven't done. That we will.
Lord.
That's a fact. That is a fact, though. So, all right. So, yeah. So, make sure y'all get your tickets to InvestFest Atlanta. Can't wait to see everybody. Magic Johnson is off his world tour. He going to be, if you've been following Magic, you follow Magic? You follow him?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All he's doing right now is just taking pictures in like Portofino, Italy, and he's Greece, him and his wife, and like we
gotta get that's
the blueprint.
Every summer it's him and close friends. Cookie's there, but LL's there every year. Samuel Jackson's every year. They setting a blueprint that should be studied.
Mad I didn't do that for my birthday, yo. That was my original plan. Next year though, we going.
He on a 3 month.
Oh yeah, man.
3 month and he's literally coming back for Atlanta.
Yep,
literally.
Yeah,
like,
nothing gets interrupted during that time, bro.
He's literally coming back for Atlanta. He's ending his 3 month vacation to come back for InvestFest.
Different. If you want to visit, you got to get the helicopter to land on the yacht.
3 month vacay. 3 month vacay.
Where it should be.
That's a fact.
I'll be on the water.
Eastern Serenity. Yep.
That's a fact. All right, let's talk about the moment that we've all came here for. It's crypto week.
Yeah.
Legislation will be passed, probably, most likely. And in anticipation of that, we saw some historical moments. Bitcoin crossed over 120,000 for the first time ever. XRP.
Rashad, got it.
Brushing up against $3. Ethereum crossed over 3,000.
Yep.
So it has been a lot of good times that people are expecting in the crypto space. So, okay. Once again, since we're saying these things, I did pick Bitcoin and MicroStrategy as my choice
of the year.
You
sure did.
We're going to talk about XRP, but first, you want to talk about altcoins first or Bitcoin first?
More of the direction you want to go,
or the legislation first?
I think, maybe legislation.
Yeah, it's the legislation.
I think that the buildup and this run that we've seen is due to the anticipation that legislation is going to be passed. We talked about the Genius Act, which was headed to Congress. We talked about July 22nd, which is just about a week away. More legislation in terms of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency being an actual asset class. So we're here, man, and you got everything lined up for something that could be historic when you're talking about a crypto-friendly administration, a crypto czar, and him wanting to get things done that will be historic. This will be the first time that can happen. And so that build up from a legislation standpoint has led to some of this anticipation and why we're kind of seeing Bitcoin go on this historical run. And it's not something that we didn't know. We've been saying it every week. It feels like, here, circle this date on your calendar. I remember it was May 8th. Let's circle this date. Even back to the election, circle this date. If he wins, right, he's crypto friendly. And so we said that the 22nd would be a date, and now we're seeing that run up into the 22nd. So should be interesting.
Even before that, one of the biggest lessons that we have to remember is asymmetric risk to reward. And I'll talk about this in my presentation at InvestFest, but knowing when something is a generational buy, 155.46 is where we should land by January or February. Once all the institutions got involved, BlackRock currently has what, $90 billion in that ETF. We have to have a serious conversation about what our index funds going to do to, I stated last week, the 60-40 is dead. The desire for 7 to 15% is over with. It's over with. Like, everyone who's pitching that safety route, it's hard to pitch that when Bitcoin now is averaging 83% year-over-year returns. No one wants that. And the truth is, if a lot of the people in the industry didn't gatekeep high returns, there wouldn't be a platform for this to happen. The desire came from like, you mean to tell me you put cables underneath the ocean to then drive data to Wall Street in the 70s and 80s, and the only thing that the average investor could get is 7 to 12%? Bro, the jig's been up. Bitcoin was just the platform to kind of expose that. And now index funds, if they don't move fast enough, could get replaced as a beacon of safety while the bond market is still in shambles. So yeah, but great return, amazing return, hell of a return since 20,000. Let's clap it up for me. So even before we got to the legislation part,
yeah,
certain things were generational buys, and it goes back to my biggest lesson of just holding the assets that you love for 10 years. Even those you in XRP army, leave Rashad alone. Not on one. Stop. Come on. Leave my dog alone.
Well, we're gonna talk about it. I mean, so all right. So just for full clarity, Crypto Week. A lot of people been hearing about Crypto Week. So that's this week, July 14th to the 18th, and it was declared Crypto Week by U.S. House Representatives because they're trying to fast track 3 major crypto bills. So the first bill is the Genius Act.
Yep.
So that's guiding and establishing national innovation for U.S. stablecoins. The second one is the Clarity Act, Digital Asset Market Clarity Act. And the third one is Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act. So there's 3 acts that's actually trying to get fast tracked through Congress this week. That's why they called it Crypto Week. So in full transparency, okay. When in the last year, when we were talking about, like, you know, I thought that was gonna be the choice of the year. I did put a substantial amount into the Bitcoin, and then I did liquidate some index funds to allocate to Bitcoin. Okay. I am
on you.
a holder of Solana, Ethereum, and I am a holder of XRP. For full transparency, I've had XRP for 5 years. Now, I just don't think that it should be your primary focus.
But
you got to have some exposure. Anything can happen. Anything can happen.
The name of the game is to own every asset. If you don't take anything else away from what I tell you, own the Magic Johnson. I know, Lakers, Dodgers, them other companies. Oh boy, own every asset.
Yeah, this is not a love-hate thing. This is a potential gain thing.
But Bitcoin, I think, is definitely the way to go in crypto. Everything else to be determined. But Bitcoin, it's unstoppable. It's unstoppable. There's no stopping Bitcoin.
Nope. Especially with the centralization and legislation behind it.
Yeah.
Y'all killed me for that 4 years ago. I told you once BlackRock and Vanguard and Invesco got involved, it was game. I don't want to hear the it's not decentralized anymore. Yeah. I do want an apology for that too, while I can hear clearly.
And there's the Bitcoin ecosystem. So the ETFs, the IBIT, MicroStrategy, Coinbase,
Block, which Jack will be at InvestFest
for sure. So there's the ecosystem of just Bitcoin, not even just crypto, but just Bitcoin, right? Like especially MicroStrategy, IBIT. That's directly. I mean, IBIT obviously is an ETF that tracks Bitcoin, so that's 100%. And then MicroStrategy buys Bitcoin, And I even saw Tom Lee. He gave an interesting perspective that, you know, eventually the U.S. government is going to have to start buying
at some point
Bitcoin from MicroStrategy,
which would be an interesting B2G play, but from a national security standpoint, for the stability of the country, given how much debt we have, it would behoove us to do so before other countries start to do it at scale. For sure. Even Grayscale, it has not moved as well as other ETFs, but GBTC went from what 60 last year, it's at 94 now. So
yeah.
But if I was Vanguard, I would be actively figuring out a way how to get a bump in return value before, because people don't trust banks or institutions how they used to maybe 40 years prior. And given the cost of inflation, it's like, well, if all these amazing returns have been in tech, why have we been getting 0.001% on our banking and checking accounts? And
makes no sense.
It's like, what?
Yeah. From Ian, we just spoke about the greatest company in the lifetime of Market Mondays, with being Nvidia, right? And we watched Bitcoin. I remember Bitcoin when it was in its hundreds, but even just during Market Monday, being at 17,000 and now being at 122,000. You're talking about the two greatest assets in maybe
return of assets
history, right? In a 5-year span. So when we talk about it being the greatest time to invest and the greatest time to own assets, this is not theoretical. This is actual facts. Right? We watched an asset in 2021 be $20,000 and currently sit at $122,000.
I mean, even before that, you know,
but just the time of since we had the show.
The first time that I personally put money into Bitcoin,
it was
$5,000.
That was November of 17.
It was $5,000.
Yeah. I think I was
the first time I saw it. It was the first time I ever saw it. It was $300, and it was.
Yeah, that's what I say. Back in the day, Bitcoin going to 500 was like a big event.
Well, the story. But there's a story that I'm gonna tell from this. So the first time I put money into Bitcoin was $5,000, right? And at that time, people were saying 5,000 was ridiculous for something that's not even real. And then it gets to 10,000. Then it got to 20,000. Then it's like, yo, this is the tulip scam of 1909. This is the dumbest thing ever. So it's all perspective. At 5,000, people couldn't understand it. Also, at 5,000, people were saying that you were too late. That's what a lot of people, even with me, it was like, well, you're late because this has been around for years and people got in at 500. Like, you paying $5,000 for something. Why would you do that? So it's all relative. It's important to keep that in perspective. There's going to always be arguments about it being too much and that you're too late. Even when I was like, okay, this is going to be the in my investment choice of the year, people are like, okay, well, it's already $90,000, $85,000. What's the upside? Well, if you can get 33% rate of return in 6 months, and it's still going to go up. Like, you know what I mean?
13% else. Yeah,
exactly.
The same reasons we just said that Nvidia has a 4 to 5 year run. We could say 4 to 5 years. There's no time limit on Bitcoin. And right, like you got to figure like that appreciation. The last Bitcoin is going to be mined in, was it 2042? We're in 2025. That's 17 years away.
And I'll say this run would not have happened without the institution and the centralization of it.
100%.
And please don't come for me. I've been investing since 2009. I've seen a lot. It does not make me the foremost expert on anything. I have created freedom for myself before I got to talking online. Without BlackRock and Vanguard, this run wouldn't have happened.
Which is why you don't see that drastic fall off that we've seen in the past.
That we used to have.
Yeah.
Or your Bitcoin don't get taken like mine did in Mt. Gox when you were selling Melaleuca coffee. Some of y'all need to stop talking and put up some results like Troy did.
Right. We saw that 2018, it climbed up to 18,000, dropped down to 3. Right. We saw it climb up to 40,000, dropped down to 20. We're not seeing those drastic pullbacks.
No.
There's institutional investing.
A
lot of whales.
I think I mean, we still got some political derailing that could potentially happen. We'll see. But okay, so the next thing is gonna be like, well, you can't get the 10,000% rate of return that you once got. Probably not. But there's still room for upside growth. And that's what makes MicroStrategy so interesting, because now that's a more risk play that people are taking with leverage, and then you could add options on top of that, where that was his whole thing to begin with. Because before, you couldn't even run option plays on like Bitcoin ETF at one point. So that was his position even 2 years ago, of like, we're leveraged that's going to give you higher rate of return than traditional Bitcoin, even though it's kind of like tracking Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin goes up 20%, you could probably get 35% in MicroStrategy, let's just say. But then you can also do options on MicroStrategy and then turn that into 100%. So there are ways to still, long story short, addressing a question that I know is going to be asked. There are ways to leverage rates of return to actually even grow even higher while still investing in the Bitcoin space. That's up to you to see if your risk reward ratio and if it's worth it, and if you have the risk tolerance, and obviously do your own research, and you're responsible for any decision that you make. But there are ways that you can still accelerate your growth in investments outside of just putting money inside of Bitcoin and then just buying and holding it.
What are the cons of investing in MicroStrategy?
Well,
right, because if I'm only asking because in my mind, I'm sure people are thinking that too. Like, hey, if crypto does have a slight pullback, which it probably will, I'm not saying that it'll be a drastic, a 50% pullback or a 60% like we've seen. They buy it at the current price, and if, let's say, in 2026, which everybody in that cycle seems to be a year, or has historically been a year, where it draws down just a little bit before obviously it starts to appreciate again in that cycle. If they're buying at current prices and for 6 months it's below the price that they bought at, now that leads to being in the red for a quarter, maybe 2 to 3 quarters, which accumulates debts. Their role was, they're not going to sell it, right? They're just going to keep amassing. Right, they're going to keep amassing it. How should people be looking at it in terms of cons and pros and cons? Not a con, but a cons in buying MicroStrategy.
They do what we preach: dollar cost average. They buy up, they buy low. He's up.
Yeah. Also, to give context to that, on the institutional side, it's harder for certain moves to be made because of regulations, and given that, got to give him credit, like he's under certain scrutiny. But even this is originally Jack's investment strategy, then Kathy's, now his. You can even see in the matriculation of this Bitcoin to balance sheet strategy how the governments are going to kind of try to come in and take it from him. So it's smart for him to buy it. But to answer the question though, hold for 5, like 95% of your problems go away if you buy the top 3 and hold for 5 to 10 years. Yeah. So even let's say if Bitcoin returns get cut in half, and I'm not a Bitcoin maxi, but if they go to 40% return on average, that's still Apple's best performing year on average, just holding. Please put this in chat. Stop talking and hold.
Just do that.
Yeah. Like that's the whole. How long can you just sit and say, okay, I'm just going to add to whatever your investment philosophy is? The biggest mistake that Kathy made was rotating and trading the stocks too often. Peace and blessings to her and everybody at ARC. Love you dearly. Had an amazing conversation with you at Best Fest 2 years ago. Thank y'all for setting it up. Love y'all dearly. Put yes in chat if I made you money. But hold things for a long period of time.
And the insight we're going to give, I'm personally going to ask Jack Dorsey some questions directly related to Bitcoin, because I'm interested to know. I want to know, does he think that it has the potential to take over the US dollar? If not, how far does he actually think this can go? I'm about decentralization, because it's good to know from somebody that's actually been a pioneer in the space.
Pioneer, yep.
Yeah. So you got to listen to people, like even when Mike Novogratz, you got to listen to when people talk that
they're doing it,
are billionaires.
And they're doing it.
That's one thing I learned. You got to listen to the billionaires.
You do, especially when they're not gatekeeping and give you the advice.
because
even people like, oh, he doesn't know. He made billions in this space.
Yeah.
Still,
nobody becomes a billionaire by accident.
Yeah, they're doing it, and their expertise and their mindset when it comes to the space.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're privileged to even share that with the audience, but on a personal level, to even when they speak to us when the cameras are not on, just the information that they're giving is just different level. Yeah.
But Bitcoin always pulls back. There's going to be a pullback. There's always a pullback.
Every asset.
Right.
Some Elizabeth Warren's going to do something. Something is going to happen.
Yeah.
There's gonna. That's what we know. There's going to be a pullback.
You know what's different? I feel what's different around this time is like in the past when we saw Bitcoin appreciate, we saw people watch it go up and they say, you know what, it's too expensive. Let me go find a bunch of altcoins. And they invest in some shit coin and it's a Ponzi scheme and they lose their money. I feel like the noise around that has calmed down just a bit. I don't know what your take on it is, but I think like people have gotten much smarter when it comes to, hey, we're not just going to find the 34th coin and decide, hey, we don't have enough money for Bitcoin, so we'll do that.
Wait, what's your time frame? Because that boy Trump just ran up 10 billion on that play 6 months.
But most of the 98% of people who invested in it got left holding the bag.
Well, that's what I'm saying. People still haven't learned their lesson.
But
that just happened. That happened recently.
The pump and dump from him. I'm talking about overall, right? All these the craze. That's what I meant. Like the craze around it was like, yo, we'll find this one.
Yeah, it's not as crazy as it was like 2017, but there's still a lot of coins that people are still buying and pumping up.
He was that was a face. Like he was a face to that. It was. I mean, I don't know if there ever be an investigation into that, but allegedly there might be. But he was a face behind that. Whereas we knew that was his coin. Whereas some people just investing in it is like, oh wait, it's 0.00 cent. If I put $1,000 in there, hopefully that'll turn into $10,000. You know what I mean? Like did Shibitsu and we just say shitcoin. But there was a bunch of them, right? Like when in 2017, like that's part of the story too. It was like when you invested in a Bitcoin and I started studying the space and then found a bunch of altcoins. And I'm like, wait, there's 2,000. And now if you look, it's like 10,000 of them. I'm like, damn. So the intelligence around investing in the space, I think, has definitely improved, which is good, which is a good thing.
Also, too, if you always want to know the best price points or where to get in, you know what you can do? Go to eninvest.com.
I'm gonna go. Tell them where to go.
And the stock club. If I call 20,000 when it was at 69,000, please put yes in chat. You can't rewrite history. It was written. I'm not the Nas.
Remember also we was in Houston. Shout out to Dave Shans. So when it was like, because I put on my Instagram story, I said you gotta like Bitcoin at 85,000, and then Shans he was like 85. I forgot the exact question that he asked, but he was pretty much saying like, when is a good time? We like 88, 85, and then it got a little bit lower. But long story short, if you would have brought Bitcoin at 85,000, because it did get to like 70 something,
79.
If you would have brought it at 85,000, okay, now it's at 120,000.
Look at the return,
and that's documented because, like I said, that was actually at the book. You was there. That was in Houston.
Yep,
that was
January.
In at the You Deserve to Be a Rich book tour. You deserve to be rich. Get your copy.
That's a fact.
On platforms and Audible.
It's no different than the guy you tell him to invest in Nvidia at $20, and he tells you it's too expensive to invest it at that point.
But a good investment is always a good time to invest in a good investment.
That's the point.
Dollar cost average. But you know,
and listen to me. That's the biggest return. Listen to me. Listen to me.
That was a complete sentence.
Listen to me. Put it in chat. Listen to Ian. I told you at InvestFest. I told you 20K. I told you Nvidia. No one was talking about Nvidia at scale, like 3 places to get in. Stock club call tonight after this amazing show. If I've made you money, please put yes in chat. Join the stock club.
I want that to be the clip. Just listen to me.
Just listen.
Period.
Easy. We easily can just charge you $4.40.
Stay low.
Is unacceptable for these returns.
Ridiculous. I'm glad you said it, man. That 7%, that 12% for the year.
It's over with.
It's just not
over with.
People are just becoming way too educated in the space to even pay somebody a percentage to get them to 7 to 12%.
Oh, let's not get crazy here. 12%,
bro. I'm being
No,
real.
no. It's
12%
good.
still good money.
It is good money. It is good. No, we can't say it's not good.
It's better than
that would be
nothing.
misleading. That would
What
be
is
misleading.
inflation since 2020?
12% is still a good return for the year, but that is the goal.
If nothing, I can say the bar has been changed. We did it on the show. Most people who listen to the show, they're averaging 35%,
if not more. That's what I'm saying. If that's the goal, if that's your range, 7 to 12, bro,
I've proven that. Like that, and I'm not even talking trading futures. Like if you're bad trading futures, you can get 1,400% return. Good, 4,000 to 5,000% in a year.
Invest with Invesco.
For sure.
QQQ. Invesco will be at InvestFest, ladies and gentlemen. You know who else will be at InvestFest?
Who?
Fidelity.
Shout out to Fidelity.
Shout out to Fidelity Investments.
Fidelity Investments.
Great company.
Take your future serious.
And great partner as well. They've been this is their 3rd year. Shout out to them, man.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we'll see. We'll monitor crypto week.
We got some other we'll talk about that another time. We got some technology. So we had a great call last week about something in the technological space that they want to debut over at InvestFest. So be on the lookout.
Jack Dorsey, definitely interested in that conversation.
For sure.
Yes, sir.
For sure.
Okay. How's big tech been doing since Trump administration? Got OpenAI, Nvidia, Palantir, Tesla, Apple, and Meta.
I think the big three who are clearly winning is OpenAI, Nvidia, and Palantir. Runaway partnerships, and it goes to something you guys always stress, like the return on relationships is not often looked at the way return on investment in the market is, but it's one of the highest paying returns that you can have. Like Palantir, you can argue, was a great company before this administration came in, but the headwinds that were created are unparalleled. Meta as well. Who has not done well? Tim Cook has not done the best. Tesla, because of destroying a partnership, has not done well. Like, to win somebody an election and then your stock go down is a historical miss. So I know sometimes this points get belabored, but partnerships, like what do you think the return on investment has been for OpenAI and Palantir since Trump has been in office? 30x, 20x.
Yeah, Palantir is crazy. It was November 6th. I think it was $29, something in that range. To see the run that it's been on is just it's in.
And then, well, what does it cost Elon? Stock was at 488 December of last year. It's at 314, and now all your government money, and he could have gotten another probably 20 billion from Starlink just in being cordial. Rashad, can you talk to that point about like the return on capital for and how that's impacted all of our lives? Because I think that's underrated. I think people think as business is cutthroat, you go further along by being kind and being polite.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I mean, you know, if you really look at it, like everybody that is not usually burns out. You know, like we're the last one standing on a lot of different regards. So it's not by it's not by coincidence. It's done for a reason. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta have integrity, you gotta be a good person, you gotta be, you know, diplomatic, you gotta know how to navigate. That's important. Relationships are worth more than money. Because you could always get paid money. You can get paid a bag, but then that's transactional. A relationship, we don't know the value of a relationship. Like, we don't know. Like, for instance, this relationship, right? This has been beneficial for both of us, but let's say that we just did something real quick 5 years ago. We did a stock club sale and we did an episode, and it's just like, that's a transactional situation.
Sure.
But there's no way to project the value add that could happen for 5-10 years. And intangibles, like, people might, there's certain things that you can't even calculate. Like, Steve Stout said something that was pretty insightful before, where he was like, he managed Nas for free because he was like, there's an intrinsic value that he's going to get from this that Nas will not even never know about.
Yeah.
For instance, like, his profile will get raised so big from a situation that instead of charging him 10% or 15% of everything, like nickel and diming him, like, he's going to be able to make millions by raising his profile, and then Coca-Cola is going to come in and say, yo, we want to do a deal, and da-da-da-da. Like, this
and Reebok and that whole,
there's intangible values that you can't even calculate because you don't know the unknown value of relationships.
Fringe benefits.
Yeah.
He's not in the rooms that he's in the early 90s if he's not managing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, just be a good person, and
that's the great. And it's so much easier. Like, you have to work hard to be a scumbag.
So don't build your business off critiquing other businesses.
It's not the model that I've chosen. Oh, YouTube. Speaking of which, YouTube said it's over for y'all faceless, voiceless AI.
Well, y'all always gonna be losers. And if you ever see me in the
here we go. We're back to that.
They won't.
Well, they always gonna be losers because the value add of your value composition is boosting somebody else.
That's the other lesson.
That's a dirty Mac. A lot of these dudes never was able to get girls in high school. They were the guys that was saying, like, why are you with him? But by doing that, by dirty Mac, and you're only helping the other person. That's what you never understand. That's
it all goes back.
It all more curious.
It all goes back to that.
Whenever you criticize a dude, whenever you dirty Mac, right? This is a derail. Okay, somebody be like, yo, why you with Ian? Da, 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 like, and then that's making it's more intriguing. You're raising his value. You're actually raising his value.
I could never hate on another, bro.
So
God is great. The devil is
a why you're supposed to be in training camp.
School to high school to grown men. And it says a lot about the times that we're in, where now on social media, you could build a platform by talking about another person. Imagine that. Imagine how your children have to feel about you. Imagine how your children have to feel about you. Like, they watch your content and you're talking about somebody else. That's something that they could be proud about. That's actually, they probably embarrassed that you even their father. I would be.
And in business, it does the same thing. When we get them, I told people personally, when you do that little negative things, the institution and company get to looking more about why. If you were good, you would just talk about your return.
And then 9 times out of 10, your girl gonna leave you anyway. And then you're going to be on shambles, suicide watch, all that.
Oh, man. You know what? Guys? You know what? This is not in the production meeting.
It's crazy, man. Like, it happens at different. Like, babe, boy, you supposed to be at training camp. That's why you out the league now. All that little dirty macking. Like, what?
Yo, it always happens like that. The strangest things always happen. And then before you know it, first class flight.
Economy.
Could take you first class.
Focus on your craft, man. Focus on your craft.
Because you start losing things. When you focus on other men, you start losing your girl.
Keep your eyes
on the prize.
Stay focused.
Stay focused.
That's what Intel messed up. You got to looking around and got comfortable, and then the chips not hit the same.
Another American company came and took you out. Dang. 2 of them. Well, about 4 of them, actually.
4. We ain't even talking about the international ones.
See, forget that.
4.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're always going to be losers.
Just from an investment or just return on capital basis, it's one of the lowest paying forms of entertainment that you can do. That's what I tell Mandy this weekend. Stop engaging with people who have not hit the success marks that you've hit. I had to learn it too. Like, what Magic say, when I was at this level, I had to deal with this. When you get here, y'all New York Times bestseller, Mandy, I'm going to hit y'all both for the console. She was the blueprint. Certain people you shouldn't even engage with. For what?
Yeah.
I saw them CPMs. I said, what?
Yeah, and then you got to take an assessment of how effective it is, right? Like year after year, if it's not working, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
It is only bringing more attention to the other person or other business, potentially.
But once again, my favorite, the quip: take all the criticism that you ever get from anybody, put it in Google Doc. Now with ChatGPT, have them make you an action plan, put it in the table, and deployable assets over a 3-month mark. Blow them out the water.
For playing me, y'all shall forever remain nameless. Okay. U.S. equity fund inflows cratered from 31 billion to 2 billion. Are you loading up on beaten down sectors or parking cash until headlines clear?
Long lesson is to hold for 10 years. The thing that I want to help do, like, you can get trading gains from holding long term if you hold for a long enough period. There's a reason why in venture capital and angel investment, there's a 5 to 7 year lockup period. For most real estate investors, they know a 7-year period is mandatory. Shout out to all my traders. I'm a trader, futures trader. Been doing that damn near 10 years. My greatest gains have come from holding long term. It's a great headline, but I think it's a trick to scare you out of the market. And I think we've done a great job of taking headlines like that and telling you exactly when to invest in. I think ETFs will only become more popular. And I think we are actually living through the greatest time. Even when you go back to crypto, even with Ethereum, and they've underperformed, but like, to be able just to get a 50% return in a year, if I told you that 8 years ago, you would have thought I was a scam artist. For Bitcoin to print, like, to go from 70 to where it is now in a year and not crater. So I'm looking to invest in the highest quality sectors. And are there some of the edges that could have some value? Like, I'm concerned about biotech. Biotech has not moved how it should. But I think this is actually the greatest, in my personal life, the greatest period of investing, especially long term, I've ever seen.
Does that make it? I mean, and I feel like it's just a unique time. We talked about from a percentage game, but in terms of retail versus institutional investing, sometimes institutional can lead a rally, or they could pull the carpet, and we can see a rally just get derailed, and now we're in a downtrend. But over the past 5 years, and kudos to everything that we've done in that space and others as well, but the retail investor has changed the way investment has looked over the past 3 to 4 years,
and has gotten smart. I would argue retail investors of today are almost not at the same level, but a tier below institutional maybe 9 years ago.
With technology,
the landscape, AI, even if you just look at Perplexity, not saying that it's Bloomberg capable, but some of the data that you can take out is in between Y charts and a Bloomberg terminal. Some of the research I'm seeing people just send, I'm like, where the hell you get this from? They're like, well, cross analyze. Even Grok 4. Elon may make a comeback with Grok 4, and if he pairs that with Starlink, just the level of acumen is so much higher than it was even 5 or 6 years ago, but definitely 10 years ago, it's different.
And that's another case when we talk about the semis, and you could probably attest to this as well. How fast your trades can move have changed as well.
Oh my God!
Right? So like that's a CPU matter, right? When you're talking about how fast your processing unit can work. Institutional had the huge advantage, right? Because they were already using the highest level of GPUs. Now, when retail investors can have access to that, I mean, this is a game changer. Every second counts, especially if you're trading futures.
Yeah, absolutely. And just even from when I first started to then when I got the Ryzen chip to when I paired the Nvidia and AMD Ryzen chip together, the speeds are incredible. Are incredible. So I just think retail investors are brighter than they've ever been. And even advisors who talk to clients, like I've talked to some advisors, and like they'll bring in notes from the show, and they're more prepared than they used to be.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things when we left Vlad. Shout out to Vlad 10F CEO,
the real Vlad,
the real Vlad. Disclaimer. I can see the energy he's on. One of the things he said was like, you know what, the platform that we've now made, Robinhood Gold, was, they said it was for retail investors because people liked us because we gamified it and it was too easy. And they said, well, what are you going to do for sophisticated investors? And they were like, you know what? Our retail investors are sophisticated. They're just as sophisticated as an institutional investor. We need to make a platform for them. And now you see Robinhood is over $100. And we saw this coming. We said, yo, the platform that they built, they let us test. It's legit. It can, any institutional firm, any brokerage firm, it's right there with them.
Yep.
Trump just slapped a 30% tariff on EU and Mexico. How are you hedging your global equity exposure before the trade war goes full blast? He's
not going to stick with this plan. I know you don't like tacos, Trump, so it's fine. But this is the taco movement. I'm not changing. And this is the great part about investing in great companies. Nvidia won't be affected by this war. Invest in companies that move the GDP of the country and the world and are so valuable. None of that. That's for low tier stocks. Nvidia won't, Microsoft won't miss a beat as a result. The tariff thing don't matter. And if you're not sticking with the tariff plan for 180 days, what difference does it make? All that goes away through like recession, famine. We survived COVID, regime changes, political unrest in the Middle East. Like once you just continue to hold, and that's the great part about being seasoned and being older, even just in business, if you just stick to your plan, which most people won't, even with AI. Like I thought with the evolution of AI, people will be more productive. I feel like people are being less productive with better tools. Just stay locked in. The tariff thing for Nvidia, Microsoft, Eli Lilly, who should make a comeback next year, AMD, even Tesla, it's not gonna matter.
Yeah, I think the market is kind of baked in this fear of what tariffs are going to do. I know a lot of people are talking about, yeah, Q2 is over, so we'll see the actual effect of it in the next couple of weeks when earnings happen. But I feel like the market has baked it in, right? We saw what happened in April, and since then, it's been a hell of a run.
Generational bias. April will be one of those.
It's just, I mean, you can set the date. I know you said August 1st, it'll officially go into effect, but based on the pattern of how he's been governing, I mean, does anything feel like it's a concrete thing, right? April 1st can turn into December 1st at this point. And companies have just moved on. They moved on. But like you said, investing in companies that are kind of non-tariff affected. The China situation, obviously, with Nvidia could have some effect. I don't know if it'll be great, but like I said, Netflix for sure is a company.
Won't be affected.
I mean, it's just not. Defense companies as well. And I bring up Netflix because, you know, they're kicking kind of kicking off the earnings week for the second quarter. So we'll see how they report this week. But look at those companies. Netflix is going to be fine. We talked about defense companies all the time.
BlackRock, Ticker BLK will be fine. Robinhood will be fine. It's a non-issue. Okay. You stole his content though?
Huh?
You stole his content?
He was just posted it in tag on what you do. He just was over it. Now he used to go.
You downloaded his content, put it on TikTok?
Allegedly.
The share screen.
Allegedly.
One day we won't let things bother us.
Okay.
Yep. Oh man, I've enjoyed having Instagram and Twitter off my phone.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
You don't have Instagram on your phone?
And not to the presentation over. And then after that, it's been real. Shout out to the team in London. Thank you. Boy, to use AI to get my replies down. I said, "Ooh, I wrote that." But thank you. Mm-hmm.
Do you think Eli Lilly can rise 40% next year?
Possibly. Still one of my favorite companies. They've been beaten up a little bit this past year.
Okay.
If they put Zepbound in that pill form, though, I do think that they can have a tremendous comeback. 40%. I have to see what they're going to announce, but if we're just being very fair, like they've had such a great run over the last couple of years, going back to 2022, they were like flattening out that acceleration curve that they were on. April was a great buy, but if they dip under 752, I will like to buy it, and then by end of next year, they should be at that 984 range, breaking their all-time high. So Lilly will be fine. They're just going through. I mean, this is one of the classic examples of a company. It's really hard to get 50 or 60% gains year over year. They went from 129 and 21 to 972 in July of last year for a healthcare company. Like these kind of gains are these are tech gains. So, and given that they were flat in 2010, if you just look at their long-term chart, they've been on a hell of a run. So 40% run is possible, but I have them like 25 to 30 for next year for sure if they do release that weight loss pill.
Yeah, I think that their whole sector, when you talk about healthcare, has taken a hit. Obviously, we saw what happened with United Healthcare.
Yep.
Novo obviously has taken a pullback. Yeah, and that, I mean, that's his closest competitor in that space. I'm looking at the chart here. It opened at 772 to start the year. We're at 796 now. So, I mean, 3% gain when the entire sector has dropped double digits.
Clobbered, yep.
Yeah, I think you're spot on when you talk about the pill form and how insurance providers will treat Zepbound and Moderna going forward will be a key. But all signs point to weight loss pills and weight loss drugs are not going anywhere. In fact, they're only going to accelerate this space. And so if they're obviously they're the leader and they have other drugs, right? We're not talking about Novo. What else do they do? We know Prozac comes from Eli Lilly. We know it's an American company. I know the administration thing is America first. Yeah, 40% is a lot, but they're still leading. They're still net positive for the year. That's a good sign. Next 6 months, I had a 700 call. I can see it going to 840.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be fair, love the company. You haven't announced the AI component to the consumer. Once again, everyone on earth is your competition. There was a lot of traction behind Microsoft and what they could do in the healthcare space. To everyone in Indianapolis, I know you are working on something internally for drug development in the AI ecosystem, but you need to put out something consumer facing to help make their lives better. So it's not just deemed as you're only selling pills to them. I get the regulations, yada, yada. From a brand perspective, though, the stock can be $1,200 and you don't have an AI component in the company. No one's buying a $1,500 stock with no chips and no AI attached to it.
Yeah. United down 40% year to date. Novo down 20% year to date.
That's worse than the shooter after somebody, right? Boy.
Just don't.
That's your delivery. Shout to the
just don't. Special delivery.
I'm gonna send a college kid in a Montclair sweater, a Laura Piana sweater to go get. Yeah, okay, got you.
With a ski mask.
Gotcha.
With a poo shiesty on.
All right, ladies.
What had on Brunello Cucinelli pants and Murderson? Okay.
Facts. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's been real. Anything else we need to cover?
Yeah, big week, real big week. Well, we talked about a lot about Intel and semi-space, but those companies that are ahead of it, TSM. Yeah, no, that's just been a company that we've been talking about. Can't stress it enough. They will be reporting their earnings on Thursday. ASML, which is still the only company that has the machinery to produce the lithography that is needed to produce the chips that TSM is going to manufacture. They report on Wednesday. So that'll give us an indication of where the demand is at. Yeah. Has it changed in the second quarter? All signs point that it doesn't. Like I said, Netflix, which is, man, it's approaching maybe stock of the year.
They've done a great job.
They've done an amazing job. I think this is the first month or quarter that they're not reporting subscribers, right? They're not doing that anymore.
That's
so we'll see.
That scares me. What?
Yeah, I think
that's when Apple stop reporting them phones.
Yeah.
I get triggered. Investment trigger. Oh God, what?
We shall see.
Do remember this Thursday at 7 o'clock, Troy's going to be doing his options class. If you watch that presentation, that's just a preview. We got a 24-hour sale that we're running for Eli University, 50% off. You can enter code Market Mondays at checkout. That gives you access to the options class. That gives you a 1-year membership to Eli University. That gives you access to the Homebuyers Blueprint. That gives you access to all of the calls that we have. That gives you access to crypto information. That gives you access to the regional groups. That gives you access to the app where we talk about different trades that happen daily. Vitally important, especially if you want to take your trading to the next level, options trading. Go to EYUniversity.com, enter code Market Mondays, 24 hours only. Yeah. And InvestFest China room has been opened. We will have the full breakdown of the China play at InvestFest. The panel, we're bringing people from China over, literally. So it's going to be a good one, man. Get your tickets.
That's on Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday.
Sunday.
No, Sunday.
Hyper-focus.
Yeah.
Hyper-focus. Yeah. Ian will not be taking phone calls.
And for all VIP ticket holders, we will be having the follow-up calls after InvestFest, where we'll have a Q&A with some InvestFest speakers. Ian has joined the fray.
Yep.
We'll be talking about investing, real estate, AI, and crypto. So this is just Q&A. We're going to be doing a Zoom, and we're going to just added value play. So, man, get your tickets, get your vendor booths. I'm looking forward to it. Get your outfits.
Please. Braids.
Back though.
Touched up.
Back though. Promoters hit my line.
No extensions. If you're a man, you should not have extensions in your hair.
There's a lot of that going on too.
That's crazy.
Happy birthday to Alex. Happy birthday to Alex.
Shout out to Alex.
Alex,
man.
Good energy.
We had a conversation, man.
Shout out to Alex, good energy, man.
Talk about multitasking, this guy.
For real.
Man. Sorry, I couldn't make the B-Day party, but I'm sure you did it big. But yeah, shout out to Alex, good energy. Happy birthday. And Blackout, tune in to Blackout Wednesday. We're gonna be talking about a lot. There's a lot to talk about. And then we have the AI class on Thursday on YouTube. That's Earn Your Leisure episode.
Yep.
The queen of AI, Alicia Little. She's going to be going over everything real time, setting up stuff in person, giving you websites, giving you apps. I mean, man, between that and the last one we did, I don't know if you're not watching it, you're not serious about learning.
Yeah. If you want to get rich from the market, go to ininvest.com and join a Red Panda Stock Club. Stock Club call is after Market Mondays. See y'all soon. Get your tickets to InvestFest. I'm excited for this year. I'm really excited for this year.
Yeah.
Gonna be a good one.
For sure.
A good one.
3 more vacation next year, but magic, the blueprint. Sometimes you can learn the lessons just by watching.
If it doesn't have a treadmill on the dock, we gotta give it back. Gotta give it back.
Gotta go.
The mega yacht play. Shout out to Magic, man. But
Love is love, y'all. We will see y'all Wednesday, and we will see y'all Thursday. Be good. Most importantly, be safe and stay sucker free. Please. We'll catch y'all. Peace.
You guys have changed. I remember when you were humble. I should have quit fucking with us, to be honest.
I told you stop fucking with me a long time ago.
Just joking. God, I'm hearing you.
Respectfully.
Peace.
All right, y'all. Peace.